No, it's another quote saying, I'm not the biggest religious person, but it's a quote saying, "Show God your plan and watch Him laugh at it." Because you can have a plan all you want, but then tomorrow you could get hit by a car or you can win the lottery.
Even realize that this exists, because I think it's pretty easy.
Facts.
Maybe even that's part of knowing yourself, is maybe even having those deeper conversations with yourself that enable you to have those deeper conversations with people that make you grow enough to the point where those people that you like are talking to now, you realize they're like, this isn't for me. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first episode of The Art of the Good Life, where we talk about everything under the sun, from friends, family, motivation, whatever just makes people live the good life. Today, we got my friend Curtis, my fellow content creator, Ground 10 Pro. Why don't you go on, just tell people a little bit about yourselves, give them a little bit of introduction.
So congratulations, first of all. You know, Tuck has been my man for a good. I think we met this year, around this year, about a little earlier.
Like a year ago,
Yeah. So it's always been good being around people who are creatives. They accept the culture. They know how to create the culture. They know how to create the wave and everything. So congrats on everything that you're doing, man.
Thank you.
But far as myself. So I'm a videographer. I shoot for a lot of brands and contents. I go for the big names. I go for the small names. And I've been doing it for probably about a solid 6 years, about 6-7 years, and just kind of bouncing around with stuff. And I feel like nowadays everybody has a multitude of things. Nobody does one thing anymore. You can't really survive off of that. So
Jack of all trades, gotta be.
Man. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I was originally born here. It's funny, I was just talking about this. I was originally born in New York and then kind of moved here when I was younger.
How long have you been in Columbus?
Man, I've been here since I was young, probably like 8, 9. So I claim it as home, man. So yeah, been bouncing around, move city to city, and I feel like that's what's helped me a lot with connecting with people. I grew up even like going to a multitude of different schools. So I was always the new guy. So you either go two routes with the new guy. You either be the shy one who never knows anybody, or you got to break the shell every time you go to a new school. So that was like, exactly. So I was just like, man, I'm going to just hang out with everybody. I'm going to try to get to know everybody, which has helped me in like the long run because I was never one person to like stick to a group either. Like I would hang out with black people, white people, Asians. I remember having a group of I would sit at like the Gothic table, and my black friends would look at me and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Bro, they got some pretty cool stuff over here, bro."
That's definitely the energy I get from you.
Yeah, man.
Hang out with everybody. Yep.
Yeah, man. So it was. Yeah, it's trials and tribulations with a lot of stuff, but we here to keep going, brother.
Love that. Yep. Yeah. I'd say that's very on point. And probably, I guess, one of the reasons why I had you on this episode. I feel like since we've known each other, I've always seen your stuff on Instagram, seen your stuff that you post, seen the lifestyle that you live, and I've always been impressed with it and thought that, I don't know, you're one of the people that I like to look at in Columbus that seems like they kind of know what they're doing and kind of look up to a little bit for a little bit of guidance, and you know what I mean? Like, how do I live my life and be true to myself and stay consistent? Because I think that's what gives it off to me is your consistency. Every day I see you posting, I see you at the gym, I see you doing better, I see you shooting film, I see you working on your craft, and it's like anybody can do that for a little bit, but if you can consistently do that, then like I think that you're among those people who have maybe figured something out. And I guess that's kind of what we're here to talk about is what have you figured out, and what are some of the experiences that you've encountered through your life that have really kind of put you on the path of success, put you on a path of the life that you want to be living, and really kind of some transformative moments that you've had in your life that have really kind of made you who you are today. If you have anything to say about that.
Well, for one, I'm not good with compliments, bro. I'll blush real quick, man. So I appreciate you saying all of that.
100%, bro. It's from the heart.
1,000%. But when it comes to, you said a lot, and I'm going to try to answer as much as I can remember.
We'll break it back down.
But far as like the success part is what stood out. I'm a very big proponent of your life is successful for like you. I'm never really worried about like what somebody else does, because I know at the end of the day, what worked out for them is going to work out for them, and I can take bits and pieces of advice or inspiration, but at the end of the day, I'm going to have to follow my own beaten path, because if I try to do too much copy and paste of theirs, I'm going to fail, because I'm not that person. Like, we all come from a different background. We see things different. We hear things different. We have different relationships with different people. So it's literally like everybody is a snowflake. Everybody's relationships are a snowflake. My relationship with you is different than my relationship with another friend who might be standing right next to you. And we might have known each other for the same amount of time, for as less or as good. And we've probably had a deeper connection in some ways because of where we come from or how we think or what we're into. So in that way, yeah, as far as success, I don't really see myself as like successful, and it kind of like bugs me sometimes when people throw it around so much. Oh man, you got to be successful. You got to, because a lot of that is coming from social media, and people are judging their successes off of what somebody's doing on social media. And it's
what
like
somebody says success is. Like the same thing as you're saying, like you can get advice from someone, but like you can only really take it as far as like your experiences go.
That's a
because,
fact.
You can give two people the same exact advice, and if they come from completely different backgrounds, that could mean totally different things to them.
And it might work out better than the person who gave, but it might work out worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like, even for like, this is a side note, but like even for New Year's, I always come up with like little things that I'm gonna adjust in my life throughout the year that I really want to stick to. So, and one of them was giving advice, because I was like, you know what? I'm not necessarily in a position to give advice. All I can do is speak about what's worked for me, and that's it. And I feel like the best thing I can do is be honest about what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. That's what people don't want to be honest with, is what hasn't worked. I feel like even, everything is so curated and manicured when it comes to how you personify your life to people. You don't want to show the bad shit. You don't want to show like, I'm behind on this bill, or this ain't going right. I'm not doing good with my relationships at home or with friends, or da da da. And it's like, that's the stuff that people need to hear, because that's the stuff that people think about, in that real deep reflection time. And you get that every time you go to bed. As soon as you go to bed, before that 5-10 minutes, an hour, you thinking about like, what am I doing in my life? Like, what do I want to be in 2 years? What do I want to be in two months? Am I hanging out with the right people? Like, am I moving forward at the end of the day? And it's like, those questions, just as motivating as they are, they're just as haunting.
Right.
So, that's why I'm really big on just being honest with people, and I love being transparent. So, like, if somebody asks me, like, man, what's fucking up in your life, I have no problem saying it. Now, I'm not gonna give you the details, but I'll tell you, like, listen, man, I done fucked up here pretty bad, and it didn't go so good for me. I'm telling you this because I hope but it might go good for you. That's why I said I don't really want to give advice to say, don't do this.
Right.
I'm gonna just say, this didn't work for me. Now, I'll tell you what pieces did work, but yeah, and even though you gave me my flowers, I appreciate you, man, but I'm gonna give it back tenfold, because you're young and you literally have your own business. So I say around your age, man, I was a little stagnant mentally.
Let me just interrupt real quick. How old are you right now?
I am 32.
32.
Just
okay.
turned 32. Yeah, birthday was in June. I'm a Gemini baby, man. And you what, 20?
24.
See? You mad young. 24, I was starting to get my shit together a little bit. But, yeah, like 22, 23, I was kind of stagnant, man. Just like mentally, emotionally. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I've always been a hobbyist.
What kind of gave you that push in the direction to start living the life that you wanted? Or like, say you were stagnant around 22. So, I mean, in those 2 years from 22 to 24, what kind of changed in your life that
That's a great question.
Stop being so stagnant?
That's a great question. I would say Probably, I know it's a thing of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, but
It's old.
yeah, it gets very old, and it's like how long do you let it kind of go on? So I think if we gonna go to like a very minuscule part of it, it's literally what you do on a day to day, on your day to day basis. And I was just realizing I'm doing the constant same thing over and over every day. You wake up, you go to work, you complain while you're at work that you're at work. Um, you're not getting paid what you. I feel like at most jobs you're never getting paid what you're worth, so you're gonna always complain eventually that you're not making enough.
Right.
But then, like, it was getting to that. I'm like, man, I don't have the money to really travel and do what I want to do, and break that shell. Like, that's why traveling is so big to me. Like, when you travel, and I'm not talking about around the block. I mean, some people's version of travel is different. But I'm not talking about just down the street or next to the next city. I mean, really travel. Get your butt on the plane. Like, when you do that, you realize how big the world really is. So that like being stagnant and how your thought process of things, what you care about and what you don't care about, the whole paradigm shifts because you're like, man, like it's been. I remember when I first started traveling. I would come back home, and it would be friends who don't really travel that much I was so used to hanging out with. So I would listen to our conversations, and I would be like, I don't care about this. Like, why are we talking? Yeah, but it's like, why are we talking about it? It might be gossip. Majority of the time, it's gossip. It's what the next person is doing or isn't doing, and this is like, okay, but what are we doing?
Right.
What are you gonna do? Like, and then we complain about, okay, this isn't changing. Okay, how are you gonna change it? Instead of complaining about what somebody else isn't doing, how about you bring it to the forefront? You change it. So that was a big deal for me, just changing my day to day, booking that. I remember I was on one of my first solo trips, bro. I was petrified to go to. So it's this
Where'd you
thing,
go?
man. I think I went. What was my first solo, bro? I've been on so many
Solo trips are
Bruh.
you learn so much about yourself being
Bro.
out in a different city by yourself, and you're like
But
the
it's
only person
so
you rely on.
scary before your first one, you're booking your own plane ticket. You don't have the friends to rely on to give you the energy of like, all right, where we going? What we doing? No, you got to do all that yourself. And you got to motivate yourself to get up and do it and handle all the paperwork and this and booking all this stuff. But when I finally did it, it's such an accomplishment, even though that seems so small in the grand scheme of things. But for a personal achievement, it was huge. Because I literally remember, I can't remember what city it was. It might have just been like Chicago or something. Like something super around the corner. But I would just remember like sitting in the hotel like oh shit, like I'm here. Like I done did this. Like I'm by myself. But then I was just like, all right, now what do I do? Like how do I experience the city? How do I move around? How do I meet people? And it was literally that. I would just go out, walk all around downtown, stop in the bars, stop in the clubs, stop in the restaurants, stop in the clothing stores, and just meet a whole bunch of people. And I've never, like I said earlier, I've never been a shy person. Like I'll talk to anybody and everybody. So that's always built me connections in different cities. So that's where literally, and it just, the more I did that, the more I would come back to my old situation and be like, I got it. This ain't it. I would feel even more miserable.
I feel like traveling gives you that feeling of or like the people, it sets you apart from the people who don't travel, because once you come back, like you're in that zone of like talking to people, exploring new things, like wondering what the world's about. And like when you're in a new city, you don't know anything. So like it's almost like being a kid again. You know what I mean? Like everything you see is new to you. So you're like, what's this? Like, what's that? Like, what happens if we run down these stairs? Like, what happens if we take a picture of this?
Yeah.
Whereas like it can be so easy to get stuck just thinking about the stuff you want to do when you're in a place that's so familiar. So without getting out of your hometown or without traveling at all, I think it's just much easier to get stuck in that like repetitive cycle of like thoughts, and you just think the same exact thoughts every single day.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons that traveling, in my experience,
Yeah, I was about to say, did you grow up traveling?
Yeah, so I always traveled a lot because my mom was always a big traveler. So she was always taking me to Florida. We'd always go to South Carolina, Vermont. Just we were always kind of going somewhere. So I mean, I kept that growing up, and like I always like. I think my first solo trip was like was like 18 years old, and I drove
See,
down
that's
to
so
North Carolina
so dope to me,
to
man.
go like visit some chick at like this college I knew.
But that's really, and that's what I admire. Like,
Well, I think that's why I'm able to be 24 in this situation.
and just go.
As I started exploring, and actually, I was actually just talking to somebody about this yesterday. How I feel like I was almost on my own since I was 14. Like not because my parents weren't there for me. It's just because like I was like a really independent kid, and I bought a bicycle when I was 14, and like since then I was gone.
Bro, that's huge. That's
You know what I mean? Like I would ride my bike 15 miles to like the next city, like in Columbus. Like I'd ride to Bexley and like hang out with people out there and like just meet new people, like go do new stuff and like see like new
and
things.
you really realize your freedom of your mind. Like, oh, like when you put your body in a new space, you just like, that's real freedom. I can move
and
anytime that I want.
It proves to yourself that you're capable of doing so much more than you think. You know what I mean? Because like these things that you think of doing, going on a trip, going to LA, going to booking yourself a flight, like they seem impossible. And I mean, like when you're living in the future, when you're not living in the present and you're like just thinking about it, it can get overwhelming. And I think most people get stuck. 90% of people get stuck there. The thinking part.
And it's the thinking and not taking action. And you scare yourself out of like the most little. And that's I remember going through all those fears of like, what happens if this, and what happens if I don't? What happens if I get lost? What happens? It's just like, you'll be all right.
And you're saying that. I was thinking too, like, and that fear of anxiety and that fear that you get when you're like doing those first things, it's the same fear that comes up in a lot of different situations and scenarios in life. And I think that like
that's a fact.
Realizing that when that fear comes up and being able to notice that fear in yourself, and instead of like acting from the fear, like you attack it, like that's what people say, like, the life you want is on the other side of your comfort zone. Like that's exactly what they're talking about.
It's
like
quote.
that scary.
I'm a quotes guy. That's fire, bro.
And I always think about that too. It's like whenever I get that feeling or I encounter that feeling of like, this is like something bigger than I've ever done, or like something scarier than I've ever done, or like this is gonna push me and like request new things that I've never been able to never been requested of before. And you get that feeling, like. It's like I think like I still get caught in the trap now of like getting caught up in that and being like, oh, like this is like too much, this is overwhelming, like thinking those negative thoughts and like letting it kind of bog down on you and letting you get burnt out and letting you like not attack it. And just like for me, it's like when I don't attack it, it's like when I have all this stuff to do and instead of like just working hard and like doing what I know I should do, I go to sleep and take a nap.
Bruh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or we run, and that's the. We've been having these conversations a lot more lately to where they've, celebrities have been saying it a lot more in the public, but social medias and all these things, we run to these distractions. And that's what's like hurting us in the long run of, really creating something and doing something like monumental for ourselves. So we get in our mind, like you just said, okay, I got to do this. I just got to do this and you get so like amped up, you get charged up. But then you start thinking of all the work and all the gears it takes to get that thing moving, and you be like, I can't think about that right now, man. What can I go to do to just get my mind off? And that can be hop on Instagram.
Doing that this morning, it's like,
bro. It's almost it's so accessible. It's so accessible, and we got all these screens left and right. And I struggle with it, and I've literally had to build out routines for myself. Like, nope, not today. I am not even, I'll take the app off my phone. I won't look at YouTube, or I won't do this I got to focus on this. And the best quote, that I've heard lately is procrastination is the first step to self-sabotage. So, we see all these grandiose ideas in our minds first. That's the picture preview of what you want to do and what things could be. And we don't really want to do all the grind work, all the grunt work that it takes to achieve that, where everybody's patting on your back and yelling, oh my God, Tuck, this is fucking amazing. Oh, you killed it, da-da-da-da. Like, even when you throw some of your events and stuff, people who come, that's an instant gratification for them. So when they tell you, good job, oh my God, you killed it, da-da-da, it feels good, but all the background stuff you didn't had to do. So you're like, yeah, of course it worked.
It's like Instagram, you know what I mean? People come to the event, they see what you would want them to see, but they don't. Yeah, and that's also like why I wanted to start this podcast is to tell people about the background. And it's like, and for me, I find it hard to relate with people who are fake because I can see right through that, and I can see that the things they're putting out aren't like, they don't like, if you don't actually like create something yourself or deserve
authenticity.
To, like, if you're not authentic with it, like it has no like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like there's some people I see that like, like just because like their family is really rich, they've been able to like go and like buy like a whole bunch of like different designer clothes, and people in Columbus just suck that up. People in Columbus love that. Like, oh, you've got like the new fucking Louis Vuitton jumpsuit, like, or like the spider suit,
just
or
clout
fucking, you know
chasing.
what I mean? Yeah, and it's like it's just funny to me to see like how people like really how shallow a lot of people are. Like I don't want to talk shit about people, but it's like so many people are so shallow, and it's like what they respect is somebody like just being so fake.
So this is how I've learned to look at it, and this comes with age. And you know, I'm not gonna be one of them dudes saying, "Oh man, you youngins, man, let me teach." I'll never do that. But you know, you do start to see things a little different the more people you are around, the different environments, and the different type of people that you're around. And I don't even see it as like shallowness anymore. I don't see none of that stuff. Like even like clout. Like, I don't see it as that anymore. I see it as literally like people are afraid, one, to really dig into what they really want to do. They don't have the confidence to create something because that's so sacred to somebody. When you create something out of your mind and somebody says, that's terrible, it crushes you. Like being a creative and you put all your energy, your time, your thoughts, everything into this project or everything into this, and they'd be like, you'd be like, oh, I put so much into this. A lot of people cannot handle that. So what they do, they'll go watch somebody else do that, and their job becomes just critiquing it. Because that's so easy. It's so easy to be like good, bad, trash, hot. And it's like, I don't even like to do that anymore. I'm like, well, that's their thing if that's what they're into. It's not what I'm into. And like you said, you can tell when people are kind of following a trend and just trying to get likes or pats on the back. And it's like, I'd rather go the other route to where I'm doing something so me to where they'd be like, it sucks, but it's his. Like
and it shows.
Yeah,
Your brand, like everything you post is on brand. And I love that about you. And I love that about people who do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it shows that like you are you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like people who
change.
don't have that style, you can't consistently post something that is that style because you're not even going to be able to get that. You know what I mean?
That's a fact, bro.
So like to be able, like that goes back to the consistency. To consistently post things that are on brand, like people will really, really resonate with that. You know what I mean? And I think that gives you a lot of credibility is to be able to like be yourself.
Yeah. And that takes a lot because we all get swayed. We want to do
Scary these days. You just post something on Instagram, yeah, like
we all get swayed because we want to do like some of the stuff that people deem cool. But it's like, no, man, if you really like, that's why like you just said, like it's not like cool is being you. That's why I would hang out with like, I would hang out with like super nerds. Like the cool people to me was like I got a friend who's a pilot, and he's a nerd, and I sit there and I could talk with him for hours.
Right.
And he's so into planes, like, and I'm like, that's fucking awesome, bro. And I could listen to it all day because I like people, and I don't want people shifting who they are or. Like if the cool person comes around, oh, let me act a little cooler because I'm in the room with the cool kids. No, finish being you. If you're a weirdo, be the fucking weirdo. Down the line, they're gonna be like, you know what? You've been consistent with your weirdness or consistent with this. We respect you, because if you're constantly shape shifting in every room, people know that, and they see when you're like, you're kissing ass or you're just trying to fit in, and that they don't realize that kicks you out. But once again, that's why I said I don't see it as. People are scared. They're confused. They don't really know what to do during the day, so they wait till somebody else to make a command. Like, and you gotta, and that's another testament to, you know, how people conduct their energy or conduct others' energy. Like, you're a proponent of that. You're a good energy conductor, as far as like putting the right people in the room, hosting events that bring the right vibes and energy. That's literally like. When you watch an orchestra and you're watching the conductor do this, that's what you're doing.
Bring everything together.
That's what you're doing.
You got to think about a lot of stuff when you're doing stuff. Like,
bro. And you know, everybody, that's why I said it's an instant gratification for them because they're enjoying it. They're moving. Oh, this is all. But in your head, you're making sure everything is going right. Oh, I hope that, okay, makes up. Okay. So you're enjoying.
I don't even like, I mean, the last one I got a little party, but like, I mean,
I remember your last one, man. You was getting lit, man.
Mode when I get in, like, I throw these events and like, I'm like, I just feel like I'm like the dude with the clipboard in his hand walking around, be like, all right, good. You know what I
Good,
mean?
bro.
Y'all are good. Like,
Good, man. Like that's
coordinator mode.
Yeah, that's a testament to your authenticity. You want things to go right. You're not just having events or parties where you just like pull up.
Right.
And it's like it feels like that. When it feels like that and it's not that, it's actually curated and it's dialed in, you're on a different level. Because a lot of people will just host some bullshit and be like, oh, da da da, slap some labels on it.
And I think that goes down to my core as a character of a person is I genuinely, like, when I interact with people, when I hang out with anybody, I think about like the experience that they're going to get from hanging out with me, because I myself am very selective about who I hang out with. And I know that when I hang out with someone and they waste my time, I get very upset.
Very cerebral.
And it's like, I know what I want, and it's like not that hard to see what other people want. And it's like, if you're not really like aligning with that person, quit wasting your time, quit hanging out with them. If you do want to hang out with someone, like make the effort to like make sure that when that person hangs out with you, they know what you're about. You know what I mean? Because like there's nothing worse than like inviting somebody over to like do something, or inviting somebody to do anything and then being like that dude who like sits in the fucking corner, or that dude who like
I hate that
doesn't
shit,
have like
bro.
the energy. You know what I mean? Like when I
hate
hang out
that,
with someone,
man.
I try to be the person I want them to be, and it's that person that's like, let's make this happen. You know what I mean? Like, cause like not a lot of people have that energy of like the leader, and it's like it's fun to hang out with
scary
leaders.
though, but it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, but like I just feel like, and my thing was like I always just like longing for somebody to do that. I'm like, God, why won't someone just like invite me to do something? Why won't someone invite me on a vacation? Why won't someone like tell me like we can go do this? And I just got sick of it, and I'm like, you know what? If anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be me. So I just started doing shit. You know, I'm like,
bro. They say the quote, every leader was a follower. Like literally every
this sucks. What you guys are doing sucks.
And it's just like, you just get into the bag of like, all right, if I'm not getting what's out there, let me create it. It just takes a lot more time and energy and focus and dedication.
You think it's gonna take a year? It takes
but
4.
when it's done, you get and this is not to sound rude or mean or anything, but you get, now that you've broke the shell of that following and started leading, you literally see all those followers gravitate, like, ooh, a new leader. They start gravitating towards you. And it's just like, whoa. Some people, they get that responsibility and be like, oh, I didn't know, I don't know if I like this, because guess what comes with leadership? Critique, hate.
Yep.
A lot of good comes with it, but also a lot of bad, because you're that person. And it's 100 people following you, 1,000 people following you, like your lead, watching what you do. So like, even when people look into like I'm not overly into celebrities. Like I use them for inspiration. If I'm watching like Rocky or something, like those are my guys. But I'm not like, I wonder what did Rocky eat for breakfast this morning. I'm not one of those. I'm like, bro, I don't give a shit, bro. Did he create something dope? I want to watch it. Okay, I'm gonna try that. People get so involved in their lives of, oh man, they didn't do this. They should have did this. This person doesn't love this person. This doesn't. I'm like, you don't know these people. Like, yeah, they get on TV, and majority of them are entertainers and actors. Go look up the definition of entertaining and acting. Like, that's a job that they portray. So when they go home, I'm like, bro, you don't know who these people are. Like, just enjoy them for what they do. Stay the hell out of their lives. And I understand some celebrities are a lot more open. But it's like, I take that with a grain of salt. I'd be like, okay, person is cool. His life looks cool. Hopefully I can imitate some of that. And just like Nipsey say, the best thing you can do is provide me inspiration. That's all I care for. I don't really care for like, you trying to stay so updated with this and this. I want my fans to know everything about me. I'm one of them fans who don't, and I'll say it, I'm a fan, but I don't care for that. Like, what are you doing to draw? What's the inspiration that you're giving me, bro? Yeah, man. So once again, like you specifically, you do have that quality. I remember when we first met, like, and like you just said, you're very conscious of how others' energy is around you. A lot of people are not like that. A lot of people are like, how do I continue feeling good? They're not worried about the next person. But when you're one of those people, that's why I said you're cerebral. Like, you're always constantly working from the inside. So when you're constantly working from the inside, you're assuming others are doing that too. So you be like, all right, man, am I being cool? Like, okay, I'm making sure I want the energy. You would assume somebody else is doing that, but majority they're not.
They don't think about it.
They don't care.
And it's like, it's
And that's
frustrating as a person who does that. You
that's
know what
frustrating.
I mean? And it's like,
but that's who you are.
and like, that's like, it makes me always long for, I'm like, oh, like I wish I had a girlfriend that would like do exactly that for me. You know what I mean? But that's a hard
carbon copy.
It's a hard thing to find. Yeah, I need another me. But like I was saying too, just to touch back on the last point I said about how like that goes down to like my character of like being like that.
Yeah.
And like I think it just goes to show along with this space too, like that's like the driving factor of this studio. Good Life Studios was put together like with the client in mind, like not like how do I make this a cool studio for myself. It's like how do I make this a studio where like when you walk into it, you feel like somebody's thought of you. You know what I mean? And I feel like not even a studio,
That's
in any
nice.
situation,
That's
when you
nice.
go to dinner at somebody's house, when you have somebody over for dinner at like your house, like how do you host that person? And like, does that person want to be there? Do they feel like they can continue to stay? Do they feel like they like want to come back again? You know what I mean?
Bro, that makes me so happy that you think like that.
That's all like I think
Bro,
about it all the time.
yeah,
Like, how do
man.
people think of Good Life Studio? Like, are they happy when they come in here? So I just try.
That's
to
how you
curate
know
that
you
vibe.
really care about your brand. And you know, that's the thing about creativity. Like you're literally immersed in your creativity. You're waking up in your dream. 99% of people don't do that. You feel me? You've curated it to how you wake up and you be like, I see my dream every day. How can I make my dream bigger? How can I expand it more? But I was saying, your creativity is an extension of you. So if you want people to feel like that around you, you want them to feel like that around your business, around anything that you do, your parties, your event. You want them to feel like that in anything that you do. And that takes a lot of time and energy, a lot of sacrifice, because there are going to be people who show up and don't care. There are going to be people who show up and disrespect. There are going to be people who show up and critique on this and that. And it's just like, that's why you also got to be a savage too. Because just as nice as you are and protective as you are over in energy, you have to be just as dismissive of a bad energy. So if you got all this love, like, man, I love it when everything is going right. When you see something going wrong, that same amount that you had, you gotta flip that switch and be like, nope, exit. Get this out. I don't want this thought. I don't want these type of thoughts in here. I don't want this type of vibe around the people that I'm trying to make comfortable. And that's where that leadership, that's a strong leadership quality that like a lot of people don't have, is confrontation.
I think that's a harder one, yeah. Because it is hard, and especially in today's society where, and like I was saying earlier actually to you before we even hopped on this, that I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not the type of person that's ever going to like, if I have like a situation, I'm going to answer it aggressively. Unless I need to. Like,
Unless they take you there.
I can think of a couple situations
turn into
where
Tupac.
you can make me snap, and it's like I'll get really mean, and it's like you don't want to see that part of me. But like it doesn't come out soon, and I feel like usually it doesn't come out often. Usually, like I'll much quicker like try and like just talk through something.
Okay.
So I'm like,
you're being.
I'm reserved.
You're
with
being
it.
smart about
Exactly.
it. Like you're
Well,
being
'cause
mature.
People who are too quick with it, you know what I mean? Because then it becomes part of your character too. It's like if you have any kind of like weird thing coming up, it's like how do you react to that, and are you like quickly to be like an unpleasant person to be around? You know what I mean? And it's like how also like if you do that, how
Can
long
you solve
do
the
you do you
situation?
carry that? Also, do you carry that energy into like situation after that? Like because like you don't need to be negative, and it's like I hate negative people. I hate being around with people who like talk bad about people. I hate being around people who like are like just saying bad things,
'Cause
or
it's
like even
contagious.
just being mean, being mad, like about anything. It's like even if you are mad, like I love like when I have a bad thought and I'm like, you know what? Like
I love when I have a bad thought.
Well, yeah, like
because you can dissect it. You can't wait to dissect
well,
it.
I just love having a bad thought and letting it, and being able to let it go, which I feel like a lot of people can't do. It's like nice.
You
to
know
like,
what, bro? I
No, go ahead.
struggle with it.
It's hard. It's hard. Well, it's being present too.
I struggle with
you're.
that.
It's all about being present, and I feel like
It is.
when you're like mad, when you're sad, when you're anything but like
When your
in your
ego
flow
gets
state.
involved.
Exactly. You're like you're living in the future or you're living in the past. You're thinking about something that happened. You're thinking about something that might happen. You have anxiety. Any like bad feelings, I feel like come from not being present. And like that's where overthinking comes from. That's where depression comes from. That's where like just
That's
being
where it
in like
stems.
being in like a shitty mood comes from. You're in your head. You're in the present. You're in the past, or you're not in the present. You're in the future, or you're in the past, and you're thinking about stuff that's going to go wrong or stuff that has go wrong that you could have done better.
You got to be a
When really
Dalai
nothing
Lama out here,
matters.
huh? Yeah.
The only thing that matters is what you do right now, and if you can like always be doing what you're doing right now, then you are living like your best life, really, because you're not ever
You're living a good life, huh?
You're living the good life. Because like if you're, I mean, because you're gonna start getting those thoughts if you're not doing what you're liking. So if you're just constantly in your flow state doing what you love doing, I mean, it's not that easy, but
it's definitely not. Procrastination. Procrastination is those future anxieties that you're getting. Like, because you're like, am I going to be able to do it good? Is it going to turn out good? Is it going to turn out bad?
You're not being
and that's
present.
all future. Like, and you're trying to like process the future. And you know, it's another quote saying, I'm not the biggest religious person, but it's a quote saying, show God your plan and watch him laugh at it. Because you can have a plan all you want, but then tomorrow you could get hit by a car or you can win the lottery. And your plan for that day completely changes. It's not about like, and it's good to have, okay, I got a 20-year, 6-month, I want to have this done. That's cool, but always keep in the back of your head too, like life is life. Life is not always good either. Life is bad. Life is, you know, it shapeshifts. It turns on its side a little bit, and sometimes it goes better. So that's why you see people who constantly grind and they achieve something, a success, and then as they keep going, they constantly say, this is bigger than I could imagine. Because your plan, that's not your plan. You seen where you got, but you don't know who you infected on the way up. Somebody who you infected, that probably inspired them to do something so big. Now they're including you in their plan and you don't know it.
So it's not necessarily just your plan.
It's not your plan. Ooh, I like this.
I like that too. Yeah, I've never thought about that.
Yeah. Because, you know, you can come up with this, boom, you take off, but all these people that you've helped or hurt on the way up.
Yeah, it's exponential either way.
Yeah.
Because you can be a shitty person,
Yeah,
keep fucking people over, and it's like at the end of the day, you decide to be a good person, and like one of those person you fucked over in the past is gonna come back and bite you in your ass and be like,
literally,
nope, you can't come in here.
Literally,
sorry, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Or the exact same opposite way. Yeah, like you're just really good to people, and then you meet somebody in a place that you never would have had an opportunity, and they're like, "Is that Tucker? You know what I mean? Get him in here."
Yep.
And like
that's how life relationships goes. Bro, I've seen
every
it
day
so
too.
many it's every day. It's all day, every day. I've seen it so many times to where it's a thing or a gig or anything that you're trying to do, and it's just like, oh, I know. Let me give them a call. Next thing you know, they're working at Nike. And it's just like, because my cousin knew this person and we met at a party and we were cool.
It's crazy to think even now, like just the people I've known and the people I've worked with in the past 2 years who have gone on to be doing like I know people who are like big like DPs and like LA productions. I know people who are like creating like VFX for Times Square billboards. Like, and these are all people I've worked with like within the past 2 years. Yeah. And it's like, it's crazy just to see like even people from Columbus, and like it just goes to show that
it's
like,
inspirational though.
It doesn't matter where you're from, you know what I mean? Like if you got the talent, if you have the right mindset and you put in the work, like you can get where the fuck you're going.
It's the grind, bro. You literally have to grind it out. So that's why I constantly say the successes are fun, but nobody sees that dark shit. Like nobody sees the like, if we're speaking about editing or processing paperwork or like, that's the shit where it's like, you literally have to, you're keeping yourself on this chain because you're like, I have to get this done. You want to walk away so many times. You got friends hitting you up. You got girls hitting you up. You got guys hitting you up. You got all this stuff going on. And you're like, nope, I'm locked in. I got to get this done because at the end of the day, when this is done and it's out, all those people that were trying to distract you, now they're going to be clapping like, exactly. Oh, thank you. Oh, man. But then it turns into like, all right, they might try to feed off you. And it's like, no. I was the one kicking my own ass. I don't need you coming around and taking a good energy.
Because they were out there partying, they didn't see that. They didn't see the 30 hours you put into making that video edit. And they didn't see the fucking 4 weekends that you didn't go out any so that you were able to sit there and like get it done by the deadline or
sacrifice.
And I think, yeah, so like I love having this conversation too, because it even reminds me, like, I think I forget and I like to like, even like people in like above my position, I think people who are like my inspirations I look up to, and it's like the social media thing where it's like what you see on social media is like the finished product and like the glorified, like, oh, this is just my life. Like it's easy for me.
Curated.
But like the people I look up to, like, it's nice to be reminded that like the things that I see people creating that I'm like, wow, like I wish I could do that. Like they didn't get that by even putting in the level of work I'm putting in. They got there by busting way more ass than I even do right now, and like probably making me look like a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like I'm like realistic about that. Like I think I work kind of hard, but I know that there's people who outwork me 10 times.
It's all a scale. It's all a scale. Somebody, everything's a scale. As far as like what's good, what's bad, struggle, success, finance. It's all a scale. $5 to me or to you might not be shit, but the homeless guy, you give him a $5 bill, he might do a backflip for it. And it's also, you spoke on the hard work that goes into creating something monumental. That's why I'm such a huge fan of film and like movies and stuff. Because when people say, "Oh, I don't really watch movies," or I'm just like, it's literally the greatest masterpieces on planet out of any entertainment. Because if you look at this scale, you got most production companies or, processes to make let's say a Christopher Nolan, let's say a Batman film. How many people do you think it took to make that fucking movie? Bro, probably 3,000, maybe 4,000. All the traveling, all the luggage, all the equipment, all to make a 2.5-hour movie. But that 2.5-hour movie was so contagious and provided so much inspiration throughout. That's the reason why films and stuff are so monumental. That's the reason why they're like landmarks in our life. Like when you watch Home Alone, it literally takes you back. Like, oh, I remember.
Right.
That's
that
the reason.
era.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why it'll stick around forever.
I like that, landmarks in your life, and it's like the same as music too.
Exact same thing as music.
I love that, and like being able to like take you back to that feeling that you had.
Nostalgic.
It's super good.
Yeah, and that's why when somebody like does nostalgic right, you're like, it's almost like a double happiness because it's like they're still. And I'm saying this because I've been listening to Joey Badass's new album, and he's like 90s. Like that's how he
came back to it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was listening to it too, and I didn't really like the direction he was going. For
He was starting to follow a little trend and
And he went back to like it's the boom bap. You know what I mean? Joey Badass on his boom bap rap shit. I've always loved boom bap, 90s fucking anything like New York hip hop, like my shit.
And it's a testament to keeping it fresh. You got this whole 90s style, literally down to your clothes. And you're in 2022 and everybody is rapping like, and I love the Uzis and the Cardis. Don't get it twisted, but I need somebody like him as well, like who's still in their
being
pocket.
True to your character.
Yeah,
comes back to it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Being true to your character, man. And that's so hard because you see these top of the line, they get persuaded. So it's like you can't beat yourself up too much. It happens to everybody. And these people got millions of dollars, millions of fans, and millions of it. Like, bro, don't. And that's why critiquing yourself is very important. But you can't like beat yourself up too much about stuff. Like, you just gotta be like, you know what? I suck at this. It's either two choices. You're gonna either accept that you suck, or you're gonna take the time to get better. It's really no other way around that. So you don't not do either and just beat yourself up about it.
Right.
There's no point.
Depressed.
Like you said, that's what brings that anxiety, depression, and next thing you know is sickness. And then that turns into, majority of the time, those emotions turn into like a negativity within, and people can sense it off you without you even speaking.
Mm-hmm. It's your energy.
They can feel it.
It's what you do every day, because like it's gonna affect like just the way you vibrate, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be too spiritual, but like like people I know who always have good energy, they exude good energy. And people I know who like, and it's like very subtle things like your facial expression, and like it might be even more subtle than that, like the actual vibrations that you give off. But like I can definitely tell when I'm with somebody and it's like these people are not really like who I want to be with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like
that's funny that you brought up facial expressions too, because we was just me and one of my friends, we were just talking about facial expressions and how crazy it is to how we got to read and direct things within microseconds at all times, whether it be two people in the room, three people in the room, one person. It could be a confrontation, it could be a good thing, but we got to read it all within seconds. It's like how your eyebrows move. Do they go up? Do they go down? When I say this, does your head turn? Do you look confused? Like, and we read all of that like So that takes a lot of attention to detail. And some do it at a higher rate than others. So somebody like a me or you, I'm going to read that a lot more. I'm going to look at myself. That's a self-reflection of like, oh, I said the wrong thing, and kind of made 4 eyebrows go up. Like, I'm like, oh, I fucked up. Like, all right, let me try to adjust. And then you got some people who are like narcissistic. They don't give a shit. They just like, yeah, I said what I said. Deal with it. You get some Kanye Wests who like, they're geniuses. They don't give a shit what they say, but it's like, deal with it. But we let it slide when greatness comes out of it.
Right.
Only people like that can understand. People who do the regular old little mouse gerbil stuff, they see somebody like that and be like, I'm like, that motherfucker's speaking his truth, and he really saying some facts. It's just y'all don't want to hear it.
And there's a big difference from someone who's like speaking facts and like it's talking shit versus someone who's just talking shit. And like, yeah, like you'll hate somebody who's like just on there like yelling on TV. Yeah, like and then you get your Kanye West. It's like, yeah, he's fucking raising hell and he's doing all kinds of crazy shit. But it's at the end of the day, can you really knock him? Because like in my opinion, I feel
if
like
you're really listening,
I feel like he knows what the fuck he's doing, and that's like I think
Clearly,
he's thinking about things from like a. I think like there's like the group herd mind, you know what I mean? It's like where everyone kind of operates, and then there's also like free thinkers. Kanye's definitely a free thinker, and people like just get mad at him because like he's like saying all these like, what's a good word for it?
They think it's antics.
Antics, but I can't think of the perfect word for it, but he's like saying all this stuff, and people will just be mad because they think he's like talking shit, and like also like they'll get offended because they have their like morals or whatever.
Oh God, don't get me started on morals, bro. People and their morals.
Morals are terrible these days because my 2 cents on the morals is that it goes back to the very first thing that you said on this podcast was like you can listen to people, but like the things that people say, like they're gonna be different for everybody. So like if somebody's morals like are like super like really good example for me is like Orthodox Christians or like people who are just like very strict religious, where it's like you follow this book and like you are like I think Orthodox is the word. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But like you're like very like anal about following this book, and it's like to the T and to the word. When it's like this book was written thousands of years ago. And if you were like more of a free thinker, you would realize that there are also hundreds of other books that were written that have the same stories in them that say the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting to me about religion is that I think all religions are almost like a vessel into the same place.
I think.
Well, they vary a little bit, but they
I'm not
aim
against
to do the
them.
same things.
I'm not necessarily for them, but I'm not against them because what they do.
I actually am against religion.
When you get ready, so I look at it in a different way. When you get ready for your work week, right? You're writing down, I need to take care of this Monday. These are my 5 things I need to get done Monday. These are my 6 things I need to get done Tuesday. I need to have this meeting and this work email. That's what religion is to me, as far as like the bigger ones. So it's a blueprint for how people think they should live. And majority of the time, it's good. Don't kill your brother. Don't steal. Don't slap people in the face. Like, majority of the time, it's good.
Morals.
Exactly. But on that moral side, this is the funny part is everybody ignores the judgment one. Don't judge the next person. 100% of people do that. So it's like, and so in such fashion of like, what I did, you can't compare it to what you did on any scale. Now, okay, you say, don't get married, don't have children out of wedlock. Cool. Okay, that's one of those things. Now, is that thing bigger than, don't do drugs?
Right.
You feel me? Like it's a scale. Like, okay, well, my big thing I'm following, but you're not following it. Okay, well, I'm following all the little things.
Right.
Oh, okay, well, that doesn't matter. No, it does matter. Like, you can't be doing this back and forth stuff. So that's the reason why I ignore. I ain't gonna say I ignore it because it's kind of hard to ignore because it's around you 24/7. Everything has a religious play or spiritual. Well, I say the spiritual part is kind of leaving. The religion part sticks around. As far as like you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing this, and then it's just like no, I'm just gonna do what I think is good for me. I don't really want you judging me or what I did or didn't do because it's not. I mean, one, of course, it's not none of your business, and then two, you don't have the room. You don't have the room to judge. Because, and a lot of people do shit on their
'Cause you
thing.
do all kinds of shit. Like, you do all kinds of terrible shit that I would never do.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. Like, people are in the closet about things of that they do all the time, but then they'll come outside and be like, oh, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't care. And that's the mature side of you, is not caring. Okay, you can judge me all you want. I don't care what you do.
Right.
And that affects people even more. Because they like, how come... You would think that they would be like, well, why am I giving all this person? Why am I judging this person on so much of this stuff? And they don't care. They ain't doing the same thing. Let me find something else to do. Yeah, that's what I would do, but that's what not a lot of people do. And that comes out of confusion. That comes out of like not having a purpose. If you don't have a purpose for your days, you don't have a purpose for your life. So you waking up to do something every day, and I'm not talking about treadmill work. You're not running in place. You're trying to actually move forward. I want to see something accomplished down the road of something not tangible. And a lot of people are just on treadmills. They're just running in place, busy work. Like one of my,
I feel like religion's like a treadmill.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
something
Ooh,
that you can like
yeah.
say you're doing just to feel like you're doing
Facts,
something.
facts.
And it's like, really, are you doing any real work? Are you actually thinking? Or are you just following someone blindly to like feel like you're superior and feel like you've got that like spiritual awareness?
Yeah.
When it's like at the end of the day, the only thing you're aware of is like what somebody has told you, and anybody else who's not even like that, you don't even want to sit there and ask them what they're like.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And that's living in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, and that's no way to live.
And that's why it's beautiful for me when I surround myself with people who can speak open and freely about things like this because it's so taboo. You get in any room and talk any sort of politics or religion, you better get a shield out. You better be ready to
100%.
fucking Spartan kick somebody down the well because they're gonna come after your jugular because you're not, even if you are religious, you see people of two religions ready to kill each other. Well, no, he didn't do this. He did. Well, mine's did. And it's just like, what? Why are y'all? I'd rather see the conversation of, well, why do you think? Well, da-da-da.
Right,
Why do you?
exactly.
Da-da. I'd rather see that, but that attacks people's morals, and that's what hits deep down of like, all right, am I really doing the right thing? Do I believe in this? Do I think this is really true? If you just blindly say yes, it's true. I don't want to. Don't try to persuade me. I don't want to hear anything that isn't. That's when you become that person to where you're super judgmental. Anything you say is wrong or right. It's like, no. Most people who are that, in that way, we're like, we could talk it out. I could talk about religion for the next fucking 2 hours if we could, and just really like get into the nitty gritty. Because I know at the end of the day, the person across from me, if we're having that type of conversation and it's going accordingly, the person across from me is you're figuring it out as you go along as well. You're not set in stone. And that's a big thing. Like, I don't care for set in stone people.
Exactly. If you can't learn, what's the point of talking to you?
Exactly,
I can't
bro.
learn something from you or teach you something.
Like, I want, like, some stuff I might be quote unquote set in stone, but if you say something, you might just break my whole damn brick house. And I'm like, damn, you know what? He made a great point. I've been thinking the same way for 5 years, and he crushed it in one reasoning or da-da-da. And I love that.
I love that too.
Bro, it
I
punches
love
the
being
shit out of
proved
my bro, it hits my ego so hard. But it is what it is. Like, that's how you grow as a person. Man, I've had many conversations to where, because I'm
the same uncomfortable feeling of
Bro.
like I was wrong, like
Yeah.
but like I'm growing now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is going great. Well, all right, so just to wind up religion, then. Background on my religion: I was raised Catholic, so I went to a Catholic church until I was 8, and then my parents, they started feeling like dissonance from the Catholic community, basically. And I don't know the actual story, but they ended up going to Buddhism. So like they found this Buddhist group.
wow.
So like when I was
Now,
8
were
years
you
old,
with your mom and dad?
So yeah, my parents were together until I was 18.
Okay.
So like for 10 years they were together and they were Buddhists together, and then they would like take me to all these functions and different classes, and
Of
actually
Buddhism?
went to like a Buddhist like summer camp for like
That's
4
so
or 5
crazy.
years.
That's funny because now that you're saying it, you know, people's background just kind of leads you to how you see them now. Like, oh, okay, I'm getting it.
So yeah, so for me, I think I was, since like 8 years old, I was always like started being taught all of these things about like Buddhism and basic goodness and meditation and like kind of a lot of stuff that is still pretty like, or I think that today
Prevalent.
really like, yeah, it shows itself in my life. And
I feel like Buddhism is one of those, is the religion of like, they don't really go the extra of like, you're going to do this if you
well,
don't.
it's not, yeah, it's not
just
like,
be
it's
cool.
not actually a religion. It's a practice technically. So it's not technically
okay.
a religion.
No, you
And-
just schooled me on that.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's a better,
so,
yeah.
and one of the things about Western religion versus Eastern religion is Eastern religion is like a god, is like a godhead, and it's like some like person that you like look up to that's like all powerful, and it's like you're kind of taught that.
Okay.
But in like Western or in Eastern religion, or it's like Hinduism and Buddhism basically, like the god is like your higher self, so you are your own god.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like they're very, very similar things, like where it's like my god, it's like the person I'm looking up to trying to impress is this person who is like all powerful, like above me, like I could never touch, versus this person who I'm trying to be like is me, and it's the highest version of myself.
I grew up around a couple 5%ers, and that's what they kind of, you know, that New York old 5%. We God body this, and numerology, and so I know what that is, and it's a big difference. It's a lot
huge
more
difference because it gives yourself responsibility. That's what I feel like religion does. Is it takes the responsibility away from yourself a little bit, which is really nice, and I think a lot of people would enjoy that, of not having like that commitment over their head of like you are responsible for your own life, and it's like if you want to become like the greatest version of yourself, you got to put in the fucking work. Where it's like a lot of people like to just have that like really easy, like you can be like your greatest version of yourself. All you have to do is this 3 easy steps.
Yeah, follow
go to
the follow,
church,
yeah,
be like devout, and like don't ever question anything ever. Is basically like the MO. And it's like that is like such like, again, living in the dark. You know what I mean? It's like if you don't question anything, you can live, and it's true. You can live a life of like peacefulness and greatness.
Yeah,
from
that's
being
why they say
ignorant as
ignorance
fuck.
is bliss.
Exactly. And if you don't know about all of this stuff and like you like never even care to dive deep, like it's really easy to live in your like superficial
that,
like
though.
surface little life of like I
that.
just believe in God and I go to work and my life is great. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's like religion doesn't even touch on all the bad shit that happens. They just play it off like it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like if a god was really there causing like deciding what like happened and like what should happen, like there wouldn't be all of these world problems. But the world problems come because people haven't found themselves, and people are following false gods, and people are like a lot of religions where like people do like extremist shit, like cults and like you know what I mean, stuff
Drinking
like
the
that.
Kool-Aid.
It's because like they've like somebody who has some bad morals and some bad ideas has like figured out a way to make someone blindly follow something that is not actually a good thing. You know what I mean? And it's like people will just believe anything you're fed these days. So it's like not that hard to brainwash. I mean, and it's happened in history like so many times that people have been brainwashed. Like we have Hitler, you know what I mean? And we have the Nazis who were like all brainwashed to think that like this Nazism thing was like the right thing to do, and that like they were like chosen by God or whatever. And they're literally massacring like millions of people. And it's like, okay, that was religion. You know what I mean? So people forget the power of religion and like kind of the travesties that religion's caused.
And that's a great, that's funny that you say, oh, Hitler's a great example. But that is a great example as far as taking religion, and that's why in a way that needs to happen. I'm not going to say that the process needs to happen, but it needs to be seen that good can be used for evil. Like people do it all the time.
Politics, you know what I mean? They just
They
try to
do
say
it
they're good and they just do evil shit.
all
Both sides
day.
are terrible.
And
You
the
know what I
thing
mean?
is, and guess who follows politicians the most? Religious people. Because politicians we're going to take care of you. Religious people be like, he said he was going to do it. 6 months later, he said he was going to. 8 years late, 10 years late, he said he was going to do it. And blind
Same
faith
thing. Takes the hands out of the people, or takes the power out of the hands of the people.
And you just, that's frustrating, bro.
I know, it's very frustrating because that's the society we live in. That's what like 80% of people are on.
Yeah.
And it's rare to meet somebody like who's
Yeah.
not like that. You know what I mean? It's refreshing, but like It's very true that like people are just sheep.
But that's why you want to hold people like that so close, because you're like, don't leave. Wait, where are you going? But and you know, not the side note. That's why I'm very protective over the energy of my friends. Like, so I've never been I've never shied away from confrontation stuff when it comes, and I've never got into confrontation about bullshit either. Like, if it's something going that route, it's because something bad is happening to a good thing, and I see it. Like, so if it's something messing up that good energy, or like I said, something's going on, somebody's doing something negative to my friend, whether it be physical, emotional, verbally, anything, I'm like, all right. And this person might not be able to stand up for themselves, or they're not as comfortable with confrontation. I have no problem taking that forth. And I have many friends who see that. And I fuck up sometimes in the process of that, because, you know, you kind of go overboard, and, you know, you dial it back. Yeah, you dial it back, and you assess the situation and who you are. Like you said, knowing who you are in those moments, that's what help you grow. Okay, I don't want to come off as this person. I don't want to come off as this. But going back to, you know, just the religion stuff, like, yeah, man, I've had conversations with people, and that's the definition of a friend to me. Like, an acquaintance, yeah, I can have a beer with you and walk out and ask you how your dog's been. You know, that's cool. You're an acquaintance. What's up, man? But a friend is somebody I feel like you can really have those conversations with. You're going to get mad at each other. You're going to reset each other. You're going to, like, change each other's perspectives. That's the fucking point. Like, I'm not really here to talk about fluff, bro. So, like, and people know me as this dynamic thing, but, like, when I'm around people who talk fluff, I'm literally a fucking mouse, bro. Like, I just don't have nothing to say. I'm like, I don't really care for this. And luckily, I've been able to position my life to where I don't be in those situations as often. And those people would be like, oh, you're so quiet. You're so like, oh, dude. And I'm like, if you only knew, like, if I'm around people that I'm really comfortable with, I fucking fly off all day. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I'm comfortable. I know where these conversations can lead. It's going to lead to growth. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, you know, once again, it's a quote in the Bible: "Don't cast pearls among swine." So when you're trying to, you see somebody in this position, and you give those thought-provoking questions, they'll kill you for them. Rather it be character, it could be physically, anything. They try to stop you from whatever you're doing at all costs, because you're like, okay, you follow this, but why? Oh, because it is. Okay, why? Oh, because it is. One more. Why? Why are you? Don't ask me no more. Then you see that part, and then you poke. Now it's like that line. Are you gonna poke one more time? Because that person might hit you back.
Right.
Versus another person who, like, is a little bit more comfortable in that realm. They might be like, you know what? I never thought about that fourth why. Like, why?
Right.
You're right, Tuck. Why? Mm-hmm. Explain. Why do you think why? And then boom. And then later on, that's growth. But then later on down the line, you know, stepping back into the friends thing, you start realizing, okay, that's my friend. We've crossed those boundaries to where it's like, this is fucking heavy water right here. Like,
get into it. And it's not gonna go badly. You know what I mean?
And if it does go badly, it's for a good reason. Like, when you're a genuine person, I'm not coming out of left field with malice for no reason. I'll never will, never have been. That's just not my character. I'm not going to be saying anything bad to you, to your face, for no reason. It's usually because, okay, hey, I thought of this, or you thought of this, or why would you say this, da-da-da. And we got to have those back and forth, so then when we clear out, you go hang out with your acquaintances, and you're like, yeah, you fuckers are kind of boring. Like, you go to have that same conversation that you had with this person, and it doesn't work here. You like, well, why doesn't it work here?
And it's once you start having these conversations with people that go a little deeper, that you even realize that this exists. Because I think it's pretty easy.
Facts.
Maybe even that's part of knowing yourself, is maybe even having those deeper conversations with yourself that enable you to have those deeper conversations with people that make you grow enough to the point where those people that you like are talking to now, you realize they're like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's actually like, so it speaks so true to my heart right now, because I feel like the past like 3 weeks for me have been like,
Monumental.
what the fuck am I doing?
Pivot.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's like this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like this is what I'm doing. Like, that's not where it's gonna take me.
Things
so,
aren't
like,
aligning.
who do I need to cut off? What do I need to change in my life about my
I
lifestyle?
love hearing
my
this, bro. This is
routine?
my favorite part right here.
Exactly, and it's like I think that's actually like it is
Because
the
it's so
pivotal point.
It's hard to do though.
Well, it's hard to meet yourself there. It's hard to be real with yourself and be like, these people aren't good for me, and like not like.
But it's hard
revert to, like,
that's what
oh,
I'm
it's,
saying. That's
know?
the snake skin. It's so hard to shed skin because we are, first of all, we're creatures of habit. Two, we're creatures of herd. We don't want to leave our herd because we're, that's you got to fend for yourself. You might not be the coolest person at the party if you're by yourself. If you're with the cool kids, then yeah, but you might not like these cool kids for real, but you're safe.
Right.
So when you're by yourself, you're like, I got to figure this shit out. And that's why it's like, you start having those conversations with the people, like you said, who I got cut off? Why am I cutting off? All those sentimental values kick in. Well, I've been knowing this person for 20 years. Oh, we went to school when we was in 5th grade. Who gives a shit? Who cares,
That's the
bro?
hard part, and it is the hard part.
That's a very hard part, but that's where the most growth comes from.
And it's by being extremely true to yourself. And I think this whole it seems like the topic of today is just being true to yourself. And like, I feel like the further you step into that role of being true to yourself, and the further you get to know yourself, the deeper you get to meet other people that like you wish that you had those connections with. Like the people who like you look up to and you're like, wow, I wish I was like them. Like even if like you got to talk to them, like chances are they probably wouldn't like you. You know what I mean?
Boom.
And it's like how do you become the person that you want to be? You want to be like you want to be like. You know what I mean? So like I think that's also a hard introspective thing to do is like look in on yourself and like see what you're actually doing that is not like that, and see like the actual like habits you have, like the waking up late,
and that's
sleeping in,
that's
like
you're in a vulnerable position when you do that.
And it's like I know from personal experience, like I've gone on the teeter-totter of like being like very on point. Like I wake up every day at 7, I go to the gym, I get my shit done, I go to work, and you feel fucking great when you do that. And it's like it's hard to do. It's hard in the moment, but like,
because
afterwards you feel amazing.
But you feel even better when you do that for 6 months.
And I don't think I've ever even like had that consistency yet. Oh, I mean, I guess I've had the consistency with the studio because I've kept this running. I haven't closed it, but
scale. It's all a scale.
Exactly. And then like I said, there's people who I feel like I could be doing 10 times as much as me. It's like I do feel like I've done 10 times as much as some people I can see, but like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Somebody will walk in here and be like, "Whoa, this is," and you like, "Eh."
You're like I haven't done I've had this for
But
3
that's
years.
how you know you're on the process of growth for yourself. And it's cool to be humble, but you also got to show I'm a big fan of being humble, but you kind of got to show them a little bit sometimes too. Like, hey, I am the shit. Like, don't. But in that way of when people are saying, man, this is great, it's okay to accept it. But when you know who you are and where you want to be or where you can be, you take those compliments and be like, all right, I appreciate it. But you ain't even seen.
I do not agree. Sorry.
Yeah, but you like, you ain't even seen what I really have, what I really can do.
That's more of it. Yeah. It's like, thank you. I appreciate it because this is cool. But like, if you only knew what I had fucking coming.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it never stops. That's why I said.
It's exponential too, because I feel like it's like traveling. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like once you start getting around these people, like once you start meeting these people, once you start making these connections and creating these things and like bringing things into the world, like for me, like this summer, I've done like, I went and like worked on a music festival, and after that, like
I seen that footage.
I was the coordinating for the food. I was a food coordinator of Electric Forest.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a 40, 50,000, 60,000 person.
Yeah, I know about
festival.
Electric. Yeah.
So I'm on the team now doing that. I'm about to go to another one the next couple weeks for Lost Lands. But having that experience and like,
where's that one in Vegas?
Lost Lands is actually here. So
okay.
What's going on? You're good. Yeah, Lost Lands is actually here, but I'm gonna go do that, and then having that experience, I feel like really made me able to like take throwing events to another level, because instead of looking at it from like I'm throwing a party, I'm looking at it from like we're throwing an event, like what kind of things need to go on behind the scenes. So like,
and you're seeing it at a bigger scale.
And I see that people, like it's like, okay, if you do this with 40,000 people, we can get $4 million of food sales. You know what I mean? And it's like there's numbers there, and it's like right now I'm doing it small, but like I have that vision.
But you
in my
see,
head.
like you
know
said,
what I mean, it's like
wait
Good
till
Life
you see
Community
what I
Park gets
can
300
do.
people, and we only had like me flipping burgers. But like, wait for 4 years from now when I'm able to like have the funds and I'm able to like build myself up to the point where it's like I can actually throw a music festival.
Boom. But in the process of that, between that A and that Z, you got all this shit to do in between. You got all this grind work. You know, that's why Nipsey said, he was like, he said all the in between work, it doesn't matter. Like, just know that you're gonna do it, because when you reach your end goal, you're gonna be like, are you gonna complain that you did all that work? No.
You're gonna be so happy.
You're gonna be happy that you're in goal. So there's no point. You're gonna complain along the way.
Right. It might be hard while you're doing
bro,
it.
it's gonna kick your ass.
Suck ass. Like,
but that's
will,
how you. But that's how you know it's gonna be better. When it really kicks your ass, that's how you know. So I'm a big proponent of that. Put in that work.
Seek discomfort.
Seek it, bro. Seek it. And way easier said than done. We talking like we fucking just, oh yeah, man, fucking we do this shit all day. But nah, bro, I get my ass kicked some days to where, you know, I might have a solid, rigorous routine, and might just throw that off. Rather it be mental, and now my whole day is in a spiral. Your day goes into a spiral. Your week goes into a spiral. Your week goes into a month, and then but you got to know when to stop that pendulum and get it back up.
I think that the best thing for that for me has been meditation.
Yeah.
Because being able to, because all that pendulum is not being present. It's being anxious. It's being depressed. It's being like just not living like where you should.
That's your base.
And to be able to notice when you're having those thoughts, and to be able to come back to your breath as like a ground, and to like just to be back, because like it's easy to get caught up when you have some negative thoughts, to have that thought lead to another thought, and then the next thing you know, you're in this 10-minute cycle, 20-minute cycle, hour, month, year, day. You know what I mean? And it just goes like that. And if you don't know that skill of being able to bring yourself back,
boom,
then you're never going to be able to get out of it.
Bro, that's so, I love that you said that. And I constantly, like, people that I am around a lot, although I act humble about it, they always say that, like, man, you're always in a good mood. I'm like, I'm not, but I force myself, like, I make sure that I'm in a good mood. I know how to be like, because a lot of shit will be happening, and I'll just be like, all right, we're not going to do this. I'll be talking to myself. We're not going to let this infiltrate.
Right.
Let's not let this shit.
Take a breath. Yeah.
Take a breath. Get over it. So like you said, your base is meditation. My base is getting in that gym. That's why I like.
Gym is meditation, and that's what I realized.
It's therapy
too.
for me, man.
Well, and it's the same thing I realized this week. I bought a slack line. You ever know what slack line
is?
is?
Yeah. I seen you balancing on there, man.
Well, and it's something that requires you to be completely present.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't have time to think about other things.
Wow, I never thought about it like that.
And that's why the gym is amazing, and that's why people not above. And that's like above like just physical like strength. Like people who go to the gym and are consistent every day to it, like not even just because they're like making their body better, but it's like they're able to put themselves through that. Like when they have that mindset.
They seek discomfort. You're literally going into a building of discomfort.
And they know that they're, even though it hurts now, that the end goal, they're at like in the long game.
Yep.
And people who can play the long game are successful, and people who are in it for the short-term pleasures.
That's why you look at
you
look at a fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger and be like, how? How? That's and that's why, like, I'm not a bodybuilder in no shape, form, or fashion. I even tell people when it comes to working, I don't train. I work out. Like, I've trained before when I play sports and stuff, but I work out. I'm around people who train. Like, they might have a sport, or they're stepping on stage. That's a whole different animal. They're way more disciplined for a goal that they're trying to hit. So when that bodybuilder hits that goal, you can physically see discipline. It's not even about, oh, does he go? No, this dude is fucking shredded. You see the discipline. You don't have to ask.
That's actually, I feel like, a really great segue into like one of my last points is kind of what success means to me. And I think that a lot of people get confused, especially by social media and all the vanity of today, and like all these people like flashing all their expensive shit and whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, to be successful is to set out and do something and accomplish that. And that's why there's all those different levels of how successful you can be.
Yep.
Where you can be just as successful being a fisherman who wants to catch 3 fish in his river in his town and go out and do that. You catch 4 fish even. You know what I mean? You're fucking killing it.
Exponential and compound, though. Because if you tell yourself,
it's expectation, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's also success is setting out to do something and accomplishing that goal. So I mean, if you do accomplish that goal, like you were successful. And it's like if you consistently accomplish that goal every day, you're a successful fisherman.
But it's also about increasing those goals.
Well, yeah.
Increase the threshold of those goals. If you say, like you said, if I'm going to catch 1 fish a day, you do that for 5 days you just caught 5 fish. Now, if you say I'm going to catch 2, all right, I'm going to catch 5. And some people would be like, I'm going to catch 10 a week. They might catch 1 on Monday, but then catch 9 on Friday. Long as you got it done. It's about how you set, and it's a scale of like how you set your goals. You can set them up daily. I'm a daily goal setter. I'm not necessarily, monthly or da-da-da, because I'll get lost. And I'll be like, okay, da-da-da, I've slipped on here. But if I can just get my days down, I know compound, I'll get to my end result. Yeah.
Daily goal setting.
Daily goal setting, brother.
Because a lot of people can just be like, this is where I want to be. They don't set any like time for it. They just be like, this is what I want to do. And like that's like, I don't know, in order to get where you're going, like success is to set where you're going and get there. But in order to get where they're going, like you really got to like know the small steps, you know what I mean? You got to know the direction. And like one analogy I love is that you can have like a ship that's going to a certain place, and you could have the biggest, baddest ship in the world, and you could have someone who doesn't know how to fucking sail, and they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to like flow around the ocean the entire life. Or you could have somebody with like a rinky-dink ass ship, whole ocean to cross. You know what I mean? They're expert sailor. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly where they're going, and they're doing it. And they're going to fucking reach that shit in like a month. You know what I mean? Depending how far it is. But like, it's like, it just goes to show that like, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter about how much money you have, what kind of team you have.
Your world is your world.
If you know where you want to go and you consistently go there every day and you change course when you realize you're not going the right way, you're going to fucking get where you're going. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only way that you can not do that is if you give up.
Tuck Rogan, everybody.
Tuck Rogan. And the mic drops.
Drop it on their ass, man.
I think we do have to wrap this up right now.
Yeah.
Any last words you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
I think we pretty much covered everything, man. I know, once again, how hard it is and how tedious and energy and resources that needs to carry things like this out. So I'll always extend my hand, whatever I can do to help, because I love seeing things like this continue. You see people flare, fizzes out. I'm not talking about you specifically, but you see things pop up all the time. You can really do something with this, bro. You got the personality, you got it.
Much love.
So it's like, man, yeah, that's a fact, brother. I appreciate you for having me too, man.
All right, so very last thing before we leave, you want to just plug your socials in so anybody can follow you?
Ground 10 Pro on everything. IG, YouTube, TikTok. I suck on TikTok. All I literally post is workout videos, and they fucking suck.
I'm here for
yeah. But yeah, Ground 10 Pro on across everything, and that's an actual production company. It's an actual LLC. So for all business inquiries, tap in with me. You can send that. It's ground10pro@yahoo.com and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. I'm going to end this with.
What's the quote of the day for the tuck?
I feel like I listen to all these podcasts. Everyone's like, and I want to. As always, I'm gonna leave this one with
like a night show. Yeah, we just went into a night show.
All right, make sure that you are doing your best. I don't know. I don't really know one. I'll come up with one next time.
Facts.
Come back for the tagline next episode. I'll see y'all there. Good night.